So welcome, good morning. This is episode 7 and the third one in 2022, which is crazy. I can't believe I'm still saying 2022. And what we landed on this time was to talk about the power of awareness. And the quote that aligns with this one is actually from John Maxwell's book, 15 Invaluable Laws, in the law of awareness. And basically is you have to know yourself to grow yourself. And that's what, and the awareness, it has legs, by the way. So it's not just one dimensional, but that's something that stands out for me. And I think it's powerful. And you and I were chatting before we jumped on this. So what do you share with everybody what your thoughts are around that?
I just love that quote, Michelle, and it takes me back to our coaching program when we were both going through it. And one of the things that program does is it has you practice coaching on each other. And, so you had to think of, oh, what do I want to be coached about? And then, so much of it was uncovering who you are as a person. What are the things that get you stuck in your mind, or get you stuck from moving forward on something, or taking action on something? And so I really learned a lot about myself going through that coaching program, which allows me to be a better coach to others. And so there's so much that goes into that quote, both from a personal development perspective, but also just from seeing the possibilities. When you are aware of something, all of a sudden you're able to see other perspectives, see possibilities that you couldn't have seen before. And so this ties so much to what we've been talking about in the previous episodes, but it just opens doors, it opens new perspectives, new thinking.
Yeah. So when I think about awareness, and this is a lot after reading books, and I think about when we would teach, advanced day 3 thinking, and, we would have people reflect when they came back. And I remember when people would go, well, and it's like, so what's a little bit better? And they're like, well, nothing's really better. I've just noticed this about myself. The noticing this about myself, right? Or realizing that what you're doing is different than what you want to be doing, or how you want to show up, or how you want to engage your team, is awareness. And I would tell people, and I still tell people, awareness is the first step in recovery. So you can't begin to get better or to improve or do things differently if you don't understand where you are. And so it's powerful stuff, because I think, when we had Tansy on, a couple episodes ago, and she talked about taking the blinders off. It is taking the blinders off. So it's like the awareness is the first piece, and then you have to accept it, because sometimes we're going to go into denial, right? It's like, I'm not really that bad. I'm not, it's not all that. And I remember coaching leaders around the simplest thing of asking open-ended questions, that they weren't leading someone to some place, and they had the best intention, but they weren't aware that the words that came out of their mouth were not the words they wanted to come out of their mouth. Mm-hmm. And so it's a powerful thing. And I think having a coach helps too, with the power of awareness.
Yeah. Our mind can be our best friend, and it can also be our worst enemy, because when we're not aware, it's our worst enemy, because it closes us off to realizing how we're being perceived, what we're actually doing in that moment, to your point. So the power of just reflecting and really getting yourself to a place where you calm your mind and really think about, so like when I have meetings or when I have coaching sessions afterwards, I'll stop and I'll just do a quick reflection. and I'll pretend like, okay, if I was being videotaped, what would I see? Or if I was being recorded, what would I hear? And go through the different senses just so that I have an awareness of all the different perspectives of how that meeting went.
Well,
and I'll ask for feedback from people just to become aware from that perspective as well.
Well, what came to mind for me as you're talking, right, is that how do you get it? How do you get awareness? Where do you go? Because it's not just, people just aren't automatically going to show up and go, I know. How do you know?
Yeah, it's about asking others.
Yes. How did this land? How's it going? It's like us with our podcast, right?
Right.
So we're 7 episodes in, which is crazy to say, but I'm constantly getting feedback from people. Mm-hmm. Please watch and give me feedback on how stuff's landing so that we have an awareness on how things are landing, because otherwise you can't make course corrections. And I think back to the very basic, the first episode, you and we had glasses on, or I had glasses on, and I had feedback from people that it's distracting, that there's a reflection. And so there was then an awareness that we had on how the visual was landing with people. Well, if we hadn't gotten that feedback, right, we wouldn't have been aware how things were landing or distracting people, and we wouldn't have made any corrections.
That's right.
So, and to your point, it's a continuous thing. So how do you develop it? And then what do you do with it?
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think that is one of the important pieces of becoming aware, right? Is it takes vulnerability to ask people, right? To say, hey, give me some feedback. What do you think went well? What do you think I could improve on? What would elevate, my skills or my ability to be persuasive, or whatever it is that you're looking for. But to ask for that feedback, you have to be a little bit vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But it is important because it is a way of getting a different perspective other than your own and just self-reflecting.
Well, and it's the part of the secret sauce. So I'm going to say it's a key ingredient in the secret sauce to developing ourselves, right? And the other part of it is, and it's so funny because John talks about in his book, because I have another mastermind kicking off around the 15 Invaluable Laws, so it's in my head, is that you also have to have an awareness of if your skill set or what you're capable of doing, and you may never have these skill sets, do they align to what you want to do?
Yeah.
So if you don't have any awareness on what your skill set is, you may just be forever working to try and get to do something that you're not going to be capable of. I am never going to be a downhill skier. I have that acute awareness of my ability. All right. And I also have an awareness of my desire. So that's another aspect to the awareness. Do you even want this?
Right.
So what's your why? What's your purpose behind it? So awareness isn't one dimensional or isn't just applied to one thing. Think about awareness in every aspect of what it is for you to be able to continue to move forward and grow.
Yeah, I love it. And it reminds me of a quote, and I don't have who said it, but it just is, awareness is the greatest agent for change.
Yeah.
So if you're, we're talking about coaching in our previous episodes, if you're looking to change something, whether you're solving a problem or change something within yourself, or developing others, having an awareness is the greatest agent for change.
I like it. So what do we want people to walk away with? And maybe that's it.
I think that's it for me.
Okay. I think the other is, don't underestimate the power of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't know if you have it, then start asking around, ask other people for feedback on what's going on, and develop your awareness and develop your awareness channels. So thank you very much for spending some time with us. Roko and I are having fun with it. I'm hoping that you're enjoying it as well. We appreciate your comments, sharing, everything else, and let us know what you want to hear more about. And have a great day. Thank you.